Now I got volume. My one camera froze up. Give me just a second to restart. Yes. I think that should have it. Hopefully. That might have it now. Hey, Chris. Hopefully here in a second you can tell me if there should have been an interruption where I had to fix OBS and reset it. Tell me when it comes back up for you. All right. Like I said, let me know. It still says, yeah, so I see it moving around live there. Okay. As long as everybody can hear me, it's good. All right. We will get to flying here. We have a Rockford Fosgate T302. They don't put a dash or anything in this series. It's older. I think, you know, this one says made in the USA, so I think this is the last line of amps that was made in the USA. Somewhere here. This amp works. We have to do a little work to it. This is how I got it, so it's still kind of dirty, but I had the cover off and checked some stuff and figured out what was wrong and what I need to order to get it all the way up to everything fine, except I don't have this cover piece, unfortunately. But I wanted to leave it together here because I know some people have a hard time getting these apart and back together correctly. And somewhere is the torque. Oh, there it is. So I wanted to go over that. So it's torque screw here and here. If you've got the main cover off, which has got screws there, you take those out. On this plastic piece right here, there's normally a rivet, and you can get a little cat paw and pop that rivet out, or you can kind of work it with two small screwdrivers, get that rivet out. This one was missing it. I have a replacement. But then you take this and you squeeze it in and you slide it forward. And if you'll notice, there's notches right there. And that's what you're getting past here, and then it's got, and this one's got them tore up a little bit. Somebody's whacked this one pretty good. But there's my brush. Hang on. But everybody has trouble getting those out. Once you get the rivet out, like I said, you just give it a squeeze and slide it forward, and then it'll come up through the little notches will come up through here. Give it this thing a little bit of a clean, and it's probably collected dust setting while I moved. And we want a little paper towel. Warm that up a little bit. A little rubbing alcohol. I think this is just thermal compound over here. So once you've got that out and the two screws, you should be able to lift up and get these tangs out from underneath this little lip. And this thing is just filthy. I'm gonna wipe it down. The back side is just teetotally filthy. Give it a little squirt with some rubbing alcohol. And wipe this down so it doesn't look so terrible on camera, because I'll show you what this thing's missing and what its issues are. Fully functional, works great. However, somebody definitely had it off and looked because they lost the light pipes. So the light pipes that show the protect and the power and the thermal were held on a couple different ways by Rockford. They just slide in. They had rubber O-rings on them, on some of them. They had a little star washer on some of them, and a shrink tube they also used. So you can see all of it, or at least that's the three things I've seen, and I'm pretty sure that they just used whatever they had that was in stock. The amp looks pretty good. It's got a ladybug shell in it. But this one's problem is right here is the protect, thermal, and power light, and for some reason in this line of amps the power LED, which is blue, likes to go out, and so I ordered some of the replacements, and I got these from Mauser. I'll kind of come up here and get somebody a part number in case they want it. See if we can get there we go. And something you need to know though, that these blue ones happen to be moisture sensitive. So I've got like 5 in here, I think 10 of them. So when I cut this open, I've got to seal this back up, and there's some moisture sensitive stuff. We'll go over that. It's the same thing as the chips on these Class D things. These are moisture sensitive also. If you've seen one of my videos kind of talking about it, they get phobic, they absorb too much moisture, and when you go to heat them up, it causes things inside of them to break. I don't know if it's steam or what, but we need to do that. We need to tighten up the fuse holders here. We need to replace this power LED, and I'll show you my trick here with how to test that and stuff. And we got the pop rivet and the light tubes. So I'll show you how I replace light tubes on this style amp. First, we'll just do one of these, and I may do the rest off camera. So these are just light pipes. Got these from Mauser. You can get a couple different styles. The Rockford just had a little diffused kind of end on it. But you take your light pipe and you're going to stick it up through one of the holes, and it's going to be there. And like I said, Rockford had some O-rings on some of them, some little star washers that kind of fit on there real tight, and then I think they use shrink tubing. I always use shrink tube, and what I do is I just slide the shrink tube and figure out where I need to cut it. I got a little kit that's got a bunch of pieces like this in it, and of course my scissors on here. So I'm going to cut a little off that. And we'll slide to where, see if I can get it in the camera, where just barely a little bit of it's sticking out. And I'm not going to heat shrink it down here. I'm only going to heat shrink it there, and that leaves that a little bigger and helps hold it tight. So I've got it tied up against there. Take my hot air rework station, is what I use for stuff, and I'm just going to let it get warmed up here. And I'm just going to shrink it around there and hold it sideways. You can see it shrunk around there, and that holds it nice and tight. We'll do the others later, either off camera, or I might get them on camera if we get this thing finished. But that's how I put those in, and that holds it real good, and it contains the light much better than the little O-ring did, and that's why I think they went to shrink tubing in the end, because you could get bleed over light from these others, and so it didn't look quite as pretty. But if you put the little black shrink tubing on, it'll only show either the blue, the red, or the orange for protect and thermal. I know I got 3 of those amps and not one have the cover. This base cover over here, yeah, it's bad. So, so this little device right here, this is one of the 32, 25 or 25, 30 little coin cells. It's a button cell, and I've just taped wires on there real good. I may have even soldered them, I don't know, but I made sure I marked the negative. And the neat thing about this is that let me grab a regular LED to make it easy to see. Here's a LED for a Rockford. We'll use this to insulate for the old punch and HD series type amps and stuff. A lot of amps use that. So you'll know which one's negative. And the neat thing about this is normally an LED is in series with a resistor to limit the current so that you don't burn out the resistor. So this is going to be 3 volts from this coin cell, and that would normally, if it was unlimited current that it could pull, would pop this. But coin cells are current limited themselves. They just naturally cannot put out a ton of current. So it works good for testing. If you hold it on there long enough, there. And that, by marking your negative, you can tell which side's negative. Now you can also do this with not everyone, but most all multimeters. If you put on diode test, and you got your wires marked in the right spot, you can get it to light up if I can hold it on there enough to, but it's a lot less voltage. It just barely shows up, and I don't know if that's, let's see if I turn off this overhead light, see if we can get that to, does that show up on camera? Yeah, it does a little bit. So it's much easier if you're doing it with this one. You can tell. Oh, there we go. You get real nice and bright. So, with that said, I'm going to turn this. I'm going to leave it off for now. The overhead light. It helps me. It creates a lot of glare, even though I've got a filter over it. So, anyway, let me look at these real close. Warning bald head thing. So the power one, D23 over here, and I'm not going to be able to zoom in because my setup's all temporary here since I've just moved. It's got a little plus by D23. So I should be able to take these 2 wires and light up that LED. And you can barely see it, but it just barely lights up. Now watch what happens when I do the thermal or the protect. There was the thermal, and here is the protect. Notice how much brighter they are. So this line of amplifiers, for some reason, that blue LED, whether it's because it happens to be a moisture sensitive one, over time just like to kind of puke. And so your amp will still be working just fine, but you won't have your power indication. It's so faint it won't even come through the light pipes. So we're going to fire up the soldering iron. Add a little water to the sponge. Keep the soldering iron clean. Super important. Everybody always lets their soldering iron go to poop. So as far as that rivet, there was a couple different designs. There was a push rivet. While we're waiting for the soldering iron to heat up real quick. That they used, and then there was a double snap rivet, and I've got some of the double snaps here, which look like that. And so that's what we'll put back down in there to snap in place. And that one may end up being too small. I may have to order some more. That might be too little. I don't know. I think I sized it for this, but nope, it does not look like it's the right size. I got the wrong one. So pay no attention to the goober that did not get the exact right part. Good thing I only picked up a couple of those. I'll have to get the next size up, and I think what I was, if I remember right, that was the only one they had in stock, and so I ordered just 5 of them to try it, hoping that it would fit, because I got that from Arrow, and I really like Arrow as far as they've got the free shipping if you get an order over $50, and their prices seem to be really good, but sometimes they don't have everything that like maybe Mouser might have. So Mouser is kind of my second. DigiKey I don't really ever use anymore, just because they're stinking expensive. All right, if I turn that on, it glares right where we're going to be working. So nobody said anything else that I can tell. So we're just going to add a little, I'm going to have to put on my 4 eyes here. We're going to add a little bit of solder to each side. And I'm just going to go back and forth until that sucker kind of pops off there. Because it's so tiny, you can do that. Except I just knocked it free in here somewhere. Ah, there it is. I see it. Landed in between the 2 caps. There it is. And I just got my magnetic strip up with my tool holder, but I've not been putting my tools back up there. So there's the bad LED. So I'm going to get a little piece of tape to be ready to seal up my package of moisture sensitive diodes, LED diodes. So here is this package, and we're going to open it up and I'll show you what the moisture sensitive stuff shows up as. So you pull it out, and there was nothing else in there. You open it up and it's going to have desiccant in it, and it's going to have this card. And so I'll pull the card out here. We got to open this one up. Don't cut towards your thumb, cut towards your chum. So we'll pull this card out first. So these cards just show moisture sensitivity and tell you when you need to slow bake and dry back out your stuff. Now obviously this one's in here and it's the dots are all blue and it's really good and everything. And so this tells you if it's for 2A to 5A parts or level 2 parts. This is a level 3, and it comes with instructions out here that if you leave these out, you get 168 hours exposed to normal stuff before they're no longer good and you have to rebake them, and it tells you the rebaking instructions. So we're going to get out an LED. I'm going to make a little room here. Go this way. Get out my hooked pair of tweezers. I'm going to drop an LED. Now the one I chose is the same as what was originally there, but it's actually the next package size kind of up very slightly, so that they tend to last longer. And I did not come up with that. That was a gift out of the Perry Babin guide to keep them from dying again. So now I've got my LEDs back in here, and we're going to fold this over and seal that back over with some tape. And I'm going to double bag it. And it's in there with that desiccant. As long as the little moisture sensor paper on there stays blue, you should be good. Now I've got it all taped up, and I'll put that with my LEDs. So now we just need to, on this one, a lot of times they'll have a mark, but it's really hard to tell. but it's really easy if you use your tester. And so we know that positive went on that side. So there, it lights up real good, and we'll just double check it the other way, just for giggles. Nothing happens. And there it is. So we need to spin this 180 degrees, and then pick it up. And we're going to set it right over here by where we're going to work. Now I'm going to get my good solder braid, a soldering iron, and I'm going to clean up both these pads. My big fat bald head. Oh, I can slide this back a little to get you guys centered up a little more, and that'll help me too. Let's get it right there. Boy, is this not amateur production hour or what? Alright. Clean them up because I want to put one side with a fresh drop of lead-based solder. And find my tweezers. And I'm going to slide this sucker over there. Solder that end in, and then that allows it to stay sitting flat. And then we can come in, a little solder on my stuff, and blammo, it should be soldered on. Now we'll let it cool for a second, and then I'm going to test it with my little tester. And while I'm waiting to do that, uh-oh, my wires are over on another amp. I have disconnects on just my test setup, so I need to find my metric Allen wrenches and I'll grab those wires real quick while it's cooling off. Alright, so now we can add the remote. Nobody can see what I'm doing. Add the remote wire. The B+ wire. And my ground. This is just my test setup. This is not for load testing. Plug remote wire in. I got a bullet connector on the end of my remote wire. I got different ones. This is just the one that sticks out, goes under screw terminals. I have another one that has the bullet end on it and has the female quick disconnect for the Rockford amps that take that. And somewhere I've got another one that's got a spade. I don't use it a whole lot because this one does just as good a job. And so on my power wire, I got my fuse with a little, I need to change it out, 10 amp fuse max. And I'm going to go turn on my power supply. I think the breaker's off. Just got one of my 200 amp power supplies really working, so pardon the noise. Alright, so with my foot switch turning on the remote, oh, we need to make sure we got power everywhere. We got 12 volts, and then we'll check and make sure we're getting power up the remote. And we did not get a light. Either I did not get it soldered or something else has went wrong in the end term. We will fire up the oscilloscope real quick. I may just not have got it soldered. That LED is a little bit bigger and I may have not got a good flow underneath that pad. So we can go to the gate leg right here and turn the amp on. Oh, I got it. 1 times 10. So we're definitely getting a thing, so it should be producing audio. So we're going to shut off the power supply, disconnect the positive, so we can come back in here. That's part of the reason why I like having that overhead light on, because right now I'm kind of in the shadow, even though I know that's glaring for you from my other fluorescent light that's way overhead. We didn't even test with this, so we need to double check first of all with this. We may have killed it. Get my glasses down here. Nope, it works. So I'll bet we did not get good contact underneath that pin. That's why you test. That's why I'm a goober. But I just keep going and I'll work on it until I get it good. Power back up there. Turn it on, try it one more time. If that don't work, we'll put a little flux and use the hot air rework station. Nope, did not come on. Alright, try one last thing here. Just gonna bounce side to side. I think I'd be taking it off. Should have put a little solder. Here we go. Oh, I think I felt it popping. Oh, it just slid off. Need a little bit more solder. I hardly use solder down there. I don't want to damage this. We may end up having to just scrap one. Alright. Okay, let's try this again. A little bit of solder there and there. Make sure this looks okay. There's no little dribble of solder on it. Still no more comments? I hope chat hasn't froze up. Let me check my phone. Nope, I know some of you guys can message me. I get lots of requests for Facebook friends, so if I haven't gotten to yours, don't feel offended. I'm thinking about doing one just for audio repair so I can keep my hobby and my personal life a little more separate. Not that I have much of a personal life, but you know what I mean. Curved ones. So if this doesn't work, we'll hot air rework it, and that will definitely flow it on there. I just don't like soldering with hot air rework in one little spot. Let's test. I'm gonna let that cool for a second. Alright, it gets blue. Let's see if it works now. No, it is not working. Alright, let's put a meter on each side. Get the meter in the camera shot here. Lean it right there. So let's see. When I power this up, I'm still not getting any voltage. Okay. Lesson learned. We will get a little flux. Put it around there. Is that my flux is so cold it doesn't want to come out. There we go. Will be the flux there. And we'll get out the hot air rework station. I wouldn't be having this problem if I hadn't bought the oversized ones, but I truly believe that Perry knows what he's talking about when they last longer, and then you don't have to go back in and do a silly repair. Not that everybody in the world would care that their power LED is terrible. Yeah, only 4 watching. Of course, I only get up to 8 so far because, you know, I'm new to all this and I don't have a huge following yet. I got like maybe 250 subscribers, so we're gonna get the whole board area around there warmed up because we don't want to pop the board. That's why I was trying to avoid using hot air rework. There should be a couple people coming from Facebook. I know one guy says he has this version of the amp, but the mono version, and so he was kind of wanting to know some stuff. You should start to see a little smoke, and I may stop talking to stop breathing. I don't want to breathe in fumes because I don't want to run my fume extractor. It's noisy as all get outs. There, I see it jump. So now we just gotta let that whole thing cool down, because that gets hot. But I'm not a big fan of using my hot air rework too much. I like it for removing, you know, hard to remove chips and stuff, but you gotta be real careful because you can pop the board. And so it has its places, but I like hand soldering most stuff. Especially normally when you use flux, it'll go, but the hot air rework, the nice thing is that you'll see the component jump, and that one did, and so it should be okay once we let it cool down. The area is not too awfully hot. We'll get a little bit of nice purple rubbing alcohol. Well, no, I won't. That's hydrophobic, so I'll go with my bottle of acetone, straight up acetone. Clean the flux up here. I'm going to put a little drop on there. Oop. A little extra in there. Clean up the flux. I don't like leaving flux. I like doing a good job of making it clean. I'll give that a second to cool off a little bit. We'll test that LED one last time. So it's nice and bright there. Let's power up the power supply. Alright, we're going to hit the foot switch. And nothing. Well, it looks like we've got some other issue as to why the LED is not lighting up. So let's put our meter on the... Nothing there. I'll go to this resistor. Nothing there. there is a test point right here, and that's 0.62 volts. 0.62. 0.62. We really should be getting, let's see, that's definitely ground that my ground probe is on. I'm not getting power really there. I'm getting 0.6 volts, 0.6 volts, 0.6 volts. Well, I know the LED was bad because it didn't light up very bright with there. So what's up with that? We may have a problem. Sorry, bald head in the way. Well, this might be an interesting night of working on this then. Let's see about testing the channel. Oh gosh, I'm a bonehead. We got 3 guys in here. Somebody needs to tell me why I got good signal drive, but watch this. If I plug the power back in, I'm thinking this amp should be coming on. I'm a total bonehead. It's fine and it works, and I'll show you why. Silly guy. What a goober. Let's go with the so if this amp was working correctly, you can see up here on my oscilloscope up here, the cool thing about Rockford Fosgate is that you can not hook up any power, but you can hook up the ground to the remote and it will power up the TL494 chip, and it will give you gate drive, which we will turn my probe around here a little bit, which you can see right there on the scope. Nice square wave gate drive. Now I should be able to see that on the FET, but I don't. So, wow, why don't I see that? Well, you got to have 12 volt power going to there, and I've got 12 volt power to here, but it goes through these, and I don't have the fuses in. Because I was going to tighten up the fuse holders. So we need to add a fuse. Get one in there. So we probably had it right. I probably didn't have to hot air rework it, although it did make it nice and snap in place. So now we got power going through the whole thing. Now I'll hit the foot switch and the power LED comes on. So I told you the amp worked. I thought it did, and I couldn't figure out why it wasn't. Oh, and just to prove that we're getting good power supply, let me get the scope back out. Watch the scope up there in the corner. I'll show you the drive signal first, and then you can see what happens when it gets amplified through the FET because it's getting big. So there it is. So now we'll kill the power. So that is fixed. So we're going to pull this fuse back out because I want to tighten up that fuse holder. I always unhook my power fuse over here before I go poking my screwdriver over here in case a wire falls out and flops. I don't want capacitors discharging, crazy stuff like that. So that gets that out of the way. Now we are going to grab a pair of needle nose. And my little, oh, it's not up there where it's supposed to be. Oh, there's my big curved needles. This cover, this dang cover is covering up my tools. I'll slide it over there out of the way. So somewhere here in this gosh awful mess. Oh, it is up on my magnetic ramp. going to use a flat blade and a little pair of needle nose. I'm going to work on making sure whether I just need to tighten them up just a little bit, but we want to make sure. No, I did not break anything. I just slipped my screwdriver out of place. That whenever I stick those fuses in, they're good and tight, because when I pulled the other ones out, they were not. And I can see this one up here, really desperate for a little tightening up. And so now we'll test the fuse to see. Yeah, that's the way you want to feel it, as it needs to go. And then I like to get them both the same. There we go. Good, 2 brand new, nice matching tight fuses. Got that done. We fixed the LED. We need to do the light pipes, the last of the light pipes, I guess, real quick. And we'll put the cover back on. Unfortunately, we can't put the rivet in. I'm going to have to order another rivet. But let's see, I got 2 more pieces of shrink wrap here. They need to be cut off right there. And I'll make the second one the same. Third one, and I may come back with an O-ring. I don't know. Seems like I had thicker heat shrink the last time or something. I fixed one of these. There we go. All right. Now we don't lose them. Seems like those get lost somewhat easy. You take. Okay, hang on. Let me get this back into the camera here for everybody. Let's see. What's the item number for them light tubes? Okay. Give me just a second and I'll show you. So these go down and under. There's little clip spots right here. Let's see if I can get the amp a little in here. Go down and under. It lays down. On this amp, these lay into the groove of this plastic front trim ring. And then you can put the screws back in. Oh, I stuck it back up on my magnetic strip. I get organized, and I got used to my chaos temporarily. When I came over here, I just threw this board on a pair of sawhorses because I don't have all my workbenches moved. That's the last big thing I got left to move is my workbenches. Alright, got the 2 screws in. Remember, this will have its tabs here that fit in these slots, and so you'll slide it in, it'll go there, and then it goes backwards and clips in, and you'll put your rivet in. And so I'll have to order rivets. So the light pipes that I ordered were 5mm round, and I think, it doesn't say on here, but I think they were 35mm long is the length that you need. Should be. I'm trying to get to focus. There we go. There's a Mauser part number. I ordered this stuff quite a while back. That should get it good. So, just to show everything is hunky-dory, let's go ahead and put the ground back in. Once I get the ground or the rivet, I'll give this thing, I'm going to give this thing off camera, not on the stream, a good cleaning and a scrubbing on the outside with a toothbrush and my just cheap dollar store paintbrush and air compressor, and you just and work all the dust out, and then you can go in and kind of clean it with a swab to get the last little bit. But we'll get it all cleaned up all around. Bring the power supply up. Plus remote ground, and we should be able to see the blue power. Oh, there we go. I just didn't click my foot switch all the way down. And Shazam, it's nice and bright right in there. And we've got a little bit of glare coming out of that one, not much. That's why I said, like I said, I use the black heat shrink because it helps keep cross glare from happening quite so much. So we're all good there. So that's it tonight for this one. I do want to tile out at least. I really wish I had the bottom cover, but this is how I got it. It was one of those Facebook Marketplace local deals that somebody posted it up, and I just got lucky and seen it, and I wanted it because it was very much worth the money I paid for it, even though it was missing this bottom cover. Because I had not got a chance to work on the last of the Made of the USA Power Series here. And I call this the 3-wall design. This is what I mean by the 3-wall. And the next stamp I'm going to pull up here, you'll see that it's 3-wall. And I got an interesting little story about that. Oh, not a problem. You said thanks on the stuff. So anyway, we've got that cleaned up. So I'm going to put that out of the way for now. I'll grab the other amp. Actually have several Rockfords that we could go through. I don't think we'll be able to fix this one tonight, but we should be able to diagnose it. It says defective when I hooked it up to try to sell it. This is for a local shop, and they help me out because they sell me all their blown dead amps that are not good amps for really cheap, so I have stuff to learn on and everything. So I'll try to fix up some stuff, but this one was supposed to be working, and then when they hooked it up to demo it, it did not work. And I noticed the other night already when I said, hey, I will put this one on the live stream too, that it's only got 2 of these screws. So somebody's been in here before, and they probably realized it was dead when they traded it in or something, or somehow. So this is a Punch P500-2. So this is a newer amp. The other one would be considered like the last of the old school. Pretty close somewhere in there. I think about 2004 is that other one. This is a little bit dirty. Take the light pipes out. They just come right out like that. And normally it's 4 of those little screws, and there's only 2 of them in this one. So we look down in here, and this is why I call this the 3-wall design. So they've been doing this. They put their masts along 3 and run their heat sinks all the way since back in that other amp. And the neat story I kind of want to go with this, to me anyway, is that, so that was the last of the Made of the I'm assuming, I've read, seen people say that was the last of the Made in the USA. Now how much of it was made in the USA, I don't know. It was, because there's certain percentage has to be made in the USA for you to be able to put that label on it. And that has changed over the years. That definition has been modified by laws and stuff. So I don't know how much of that was made in the USA, but that was back when they started the 3-wall design. And there's been all kinds of amps that have used different kinds of 3 walls. And so everybody loves that amp because obviously it was the last one they put a sticker on that was technically made in the USA. Now they're designed in the USA and made over in China. But the Rockford Fosgate, like the Punch 150, the 25 to Life series, is like that, and those amps are basically based off of the like P200.2 or whatever. They're all based off the same ones. I've got an amp actually. Let me grab it. Yeah, it would be no dashes or no dots. So like this is the 400. So the P404. But this was the one with the big chrome valve covers. And it's the 3-wall design, and that's I think the same heat sinks that are in the 25 to Life, which everybody loves. But hey, you know what? I got that window does not have a rivet in it. But everybody does not like this amp line for some reason. Somebody needs to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they use the same heat sink and dang near the same circuit boards. Stuff over. Okay. So anyway, that's my my take on that. I'm not sure why that line of Rockford amps is not very favorable, but let me grab one more amp. So these are the modern punch amps, you know, and they're a redesign of that same kind of principle, and the thing I really love about Rockford Fosgate is going all the way back to the Punch 45 and stuff. You can see how they progress, and I'm learning a lot as they introduce new technologies. They just keep building on each other, and sometimes one technology will replace another one. But it's really neat because it's very progressive. So these punch amps, they're not super popular either. This is the modern style. However, in the modern style, the exact same kind of style, and this is current, the power version is very popular. And so this is a Power 600-4 that I picked up. And these, the power version, everybody seems to like. Now, I know, it's power amp, so, you know, everybody likes the power series and the old stuff, too. So, I don't know. These just definitely don't hold their value, the punch ones, at all compared to the power ones. So, there's some of the really small of this style that dang near, if you blow it real good, it costs just the parts and a tiny bit of labor. You can't really get a repair guy to hardly fix them because the value is not there to get your money back out of them on the little ones, which is kind of sad because they're real nice amps. They look good, I think. But anyway, so we're just going to have to start fresh from this one. This one says does not power up, so I took the cover off so we can see and we can get right in here. But I'm going to do my standard stuff. Let's get moved over a little. Straight up amp troubleshooting. If you was going to go buy an amp from somebody, and before you hook it up, if they don't already have it hooked up and playing, you're going to want to do this. You want to get your multimeter, put it on diode check. I always use a resistor and put it between ground and battery to make sure that these caps right here, which these are the input filter caps, are drained. And then you got to make sure you put your probes in correctly. So it's going to go B+ for your red and your ground. Make sure they're in the right spot here. And watch my meter. Now this is going up, 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 and it goes to hold it on here. Goes up to 1 and stays there. So that means it charged these caps, because within diode test, it's actually, that's your beep setting too. It actually puts out maybe 3 volts, 3 volts. But nothing was pulling it back down enough to where it didn't. Now, if all we've seen, let me drain that again. I think on the last live stream, maybe we showed one that didn't come all the way up to that 1. But if it had stopped, like at 800 and something or like that, and wouldn't, while you're holding it there, it wouldn't go up anymore, that means something is wrong in the power supply section that's not letting these caps get fully charged. And so then you know you either got a problem in the FETs or the drive circuit or these caps or maybe the rectifiers or something. But so this right there tells me that the power supply itself should be good, which then means that if this amp was not hooked up for you, if you were going to go buy it used, you could technically, you should be able to hook your power up in your car to test it, and it should not blow a fuse. Now, if it had any of the, if it had that problem, I would not hook it up at all. At that point, you say, no, something's wrong in the power supply. There's no way I'm going to hook this up. But we could technically hook this up, and most likely what's going to happen is going to try to power this up, and it would light up the protect light because something else is wrong. So we took the cover off so we could go ahead and get to all the FETs. And we're going to test the power supply FETs in diode mode. Just going from one leg, and you might hear it beep, but watch. As long as it goes away, it's fine. Remember, we're in diode mode. A beep is a short, but if it's charging up caps, it'll go up to diode. It'll beep for a second, and then it'll go up to a diode reading. So there, it's going up to a diode reading right there. Okay, and nothing's wrong there. Back here is the 2 voltage regulators and the 2 rectifiers. And the rectifiers should sound shorted on the each outer leg because they're both tied into the same spot. But you should get a diode reading one way, and we do. It's charging up the main rail caps, and that's fine. And then the same thing on there. You just shouldn't get a constant beep except for on the 2 outer legs. You can't check the voltage regulators that way. You have to power it up. But then we go to the output section. So these are the this is a 2-channel amp. So these 4 FETs are one output, and these 4 FETs are the other. And so we're just going to go through, and we're going to go walk across, testing leg to leg. And it's really great if you're going to buy a used amp, if you can go ahead and pull the cover off and do this check before you do power it up, so that somebody can't, okay, nope, went away, that's good. Because then nobody can accuse you of blowing up the amp, hooking it up incorrectly. We have a bad one. So between these 2 legs over here, we got a short. We should have the same thing on this, because I'm assuming that if it's a PNP NPN setup, one of them will be one and one will be the other. So yeah. So this channel over here has got shorted FETs here, at least one shorted FET. We might be able to tell by going from the gate to the thing. That reads a 0.043. This one reads a 0.21. I'll read that the other way and see if it changes anything. 0.21, 0.43, and then what if I read it from here? 0.42, 0.21. So this one's reading lower than that one on the diode check, so I'm going to assume this FET at least is blown. They may both be, but my guess, if only one of them is going to be this one. Sometimes you can tell that, like I said, by whichever one's reading lower from that gate to the outer leg, but it's a short right now between there. So once again, we look for the thing. Is this the right size? No. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just pull both these covers off. One nice thing about these newer amps, the punch anyway, I don't know if it's the same on the power, we'll have to open it up, but these are not mesh strips. I believe the FET comes right off there. I think they're just insulators. So that's kind of nice. You don't have to desolder it. It may be mesh strips, I'm not sure, but I don't think it is. We could test and see here. Yep, it's not. It's just an insulator. So you don't have to do all that heavy duty soldering and stuff like that. So a little bit of a paper towel, a little bit of grease on the front of these. So these FETs are, get the specs out here. These two are 28N15s, and these two are 36P15s. So these should be the NPNs, and these should be the PNPs, I believe. And so one of those is going to be bad. So now we're going to have to take the rest of the amp apart. You need to be really careful with these front covers. They have a tendency to get cracked right here on the screw holes. Put the screws there. If you do break these, I'll show you a little something cool. So you take this out and you lift it out. If you do break these tabs, you will notice there's a whole bunch of area right here doing nothing. And that is right here where there's a whole bunch of aluminum. You can put this cover on and drill you a little hole and drill it into that heatsink, and then come back in and drill holes and tap them and put nice looking little cap head screws on these and hold that on if you busted these and they're gone. And it will make the kind of the button head cap screw, and it'll make the amp look good, and it'll hold your cover on. So I have had to do that on this line of amps before. So I believe it is the much bigger, nope, it's still this size thing, and we're gonna go as far as when I repair this, I'm gonna go ahead and add shoe goo to these little caps right here, because they don't have anything holding them all together, and that will make them all kind of one unit and less susceptible to vibration damage. So I'm gonna have to take a ton of screws out. Okay, question for the group. Do we want to go on ahead and take all this out and see if that's just one or both of those? Because I don't have, I've got one pair right now, I think. Yep. I have one pair that is for the positive and the negative for one of the smaller amps that's brand new. I've got to get a few more of these, and I actually have them on order because I knew I was down to one pair, but they're not going to be here. They're not here now, and they may not be here. They're supposed to come in tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. So I could stop right here, and then we could go, or we could go ahead and take that out and see if it is only this one shorted. Technically, we remove it, and we could actually power up the amp, and you can still get output with only one of these in. Obviously, it won't be full power output, but since this is damaged, I'm going to replace them as a matching pair. And then the other thing we'll have to do when we do that, and it's a good thing to show right now, if I can find, I have to find it, so we probably will hold off temporarily. I gotta find my X-Acto knife. This right here, this pot, I'll bring it up here. Those two pots, one's for each channel. This one's for that channel, that one's for that channel. That's that blue concrete I've talked about. that's on there, and that's got to be carefully chipped away. And so we can adjust that pot so that when we put the new matched pairs, because I can't just, if this was the only one that was bad, I can't put this in here because these are in parallel. They have to be matching lot numbers so that one's not slight variation of the other, so that one ends up working harder than the other, and then that'll cause overheating and it'll cause the amp to fail too quick. So it'll have to be replaced. I'll replace all four, just because since this channel did die, I don't know what kind of stress these were under. Even though they're okay, I'll save these to be test fits, so that if I had a bank that was blown, let's just assume real quick this one's the only one that's bad. We get it out of there, we could technically test it and test everything to make sure all the rest of these the drive circuits work. Where's my little pointer? Here we go. So that all the little transistors that are driving these through the gates and stuff work, and that all the source resistors and stuff are good. There is also going to be a protection circuit in here that we will need to inspect, since that channel died, and I will have to look it up and try to figure out where exactly it is on this. It may be on this driver board. The smaller ones, this is the biggest of these I've done, and the smaller ones have the driver board just built onto the circuit board, so I haven't had to mess with these driver boards, so I may have to find it there. So it's going to take me a little more research. So we know for certain that that one is at least going to have to be done. So we're going to call that a stop for just temporarily. So this is what I do, because I don't have the FETs to fix that, and I really do need to check that driver board to see where that protection circuit's going to be, because somebody's going to want to know. And you know, when I live stream coming up this weekend, I plan on it again. Somebody will know. So what I do is I just use Ziploc baggies to hold all the screws and all the parts. Let me get this on here, and I'll show you if I can get enough of the air out of this one. There we go. So this is what I do. I'll carefully set everything back in. Get this tape note off here. I'll just set it right back in place temporarily. And you probably noticed it on that other Rockford I pulled out over. But I I started out with blue painter's tape, but black Sharpies don't show up very well on black painter's tape, so I went out and got some of the green, because it does show up real good. And so what is that? That's the 28, yeah, 28 N15. 28 N15 times 2 dead needs the 36 P15s also. Yeah, 36 P15. Test drive and protect circuit. And so I just make myself notes, because I know I got parts coming for this before we can get it tested. So I just do that. I'll sit it over on the shelf and we'll grab another one. Tell you what, since I have it sitting right here, I got this known dead. That's how I buy. This is mine personally, and that's how I buy 99.9% of my amps. So we're just going to start out like we normally would. I use my little resistor. I'm going to put it between the ground and B+. make sure that's done, and then we will slide that back a little bit. We'll put these in. Ooh, you hear that? That's a bad power supply. So let's flip it over. Like dead shorted bad power supply. So I got the modern powers because they hold value. They're worth me learning and spending my time and money on, because I can get my money back out of them when they're working. But I actually been getting these powers because besides my old school Rockford build that I want to do, and maybe an old school Orion build that I want to do, I want to use some modern Rockfords. I was going to do, that's the build, I can get that down in there, there we go. Probably use modern Rockfords for a build for my wife. She likes to rock out. We got a old, very old, but it still rock and rolls real good, home stereo. That when she's jamming, taking care of business and stuff, cleaning and dishwashing and doing chores and all that other stuff that she wants to do, she'll crank it up. And you know, she doesn't always listen to AC/DC, but when she does, the neighbors do too. So we pull this off and pull the LED out. Well, good evening, folks. Hey, it's Jason. So, okay, now we're going to look at this power. Now, we just had it scream at us on our little test. So we wouldn't even try to hook this amp up for testing because it's just screaming at us. It will not charge these input filter caps. So, here is the power supply fits. Yep. All kinds of dead short there. So that one's definitely got a short in it. Looks like the other, nope. So both sides of the power supply seem to have a dead short. So, okay, next thing you happen, if you have a dead power supply, why did the power supply die? So some amps, the weak link will be the power supply. That their output section is actually so robust that you can rock and roll the amp so hard it'll just pop the power supply. It's the weak link and it'll die first. But most of the time, not always, like I said, sometimes the power supply is the weak link. Something goes wrong in one of the channels, and this is a 4-channel amp, and when it dead shorts, it pops the power supply also. So that other amp we seen, its power supply checked fine, but it had one channel that shorted. Well, it got into protect mode fast enough. The protection circuit obviously was probably working just fine in that amp, that it did not pop the power supply. Whereas this one, maybe something's dead here. The protection circuit either died with it, because there's 4 of those cards in here, and that'll be an interesting thing. I'm going to look and see if the cards that are in that punch are the same number as the cards here, and it'll be interesting to compare the crossovers and the this is the one channel crossovers, the other channel crossovers. This is the power supply driver card. So it'll be interesting to see if those are the same boards. If they're reusing the boards, they're just changing stuff on this, but they're reusing the driver boards. So that'll be on the next live stream, because I'll want to look at that. But we need to check. I get distracted, ADHD squirrel there, to see if any of these channels are bad. So let's just go ahead and get after it while I'm jabbering here. So, like I said, if one of these channels died and it did take out the power supply, I'd really be suspect of this protection circuit being bad then, because when the channel blew, it can take out the protection circuit also, depending on how it blows. And so, oh, That kind of has a hole in it. The solder's not very good. That was me touching. Right there. Oh, that's blown all the way across. Yep. So this channel is bad. So let's pull this off and let's see what FETs we have in a power 4-channel amp. Obviously it does less power than that bigger 2-channel punch, but this is overall does more power. And a lot of times you got to wipe a little bit of kind of grease or something that's on there off. And the flashlight and my lights. Ooh, I can smell it burnt right there. Sorry for the bald head. So we have a 36P 15, which is the same as that other one was using on the P side, but on the N side we got a 46 N 15, so it's much stronger in over here. So cannot fix it with these. I know I don't have any 46 N, so we're gonna have to order that. But this channel died, took out the power supply. So now let's look at the power supply. So did we say it took out both sides of the power supply? I think we did. So it's going to have at least 4 FETs and maybe the driver circuit. I can see the resistors look a bit fried, so we're going to have to inspect the transistors up to here and stuff. But remember that trick that Rockford with the remote and the ground only, we can check and see if we end up getting good drive signal out to the gate resistors to the FETs here. So let's just go on ahead and pull that one off. And so we're going to have a little fun here. I've got 2 power T400-4s also that are dead. And so it'll be real interesting, since this amp only uses a pair, to see if the 400 uses the same setup. So we'll do that before I've got a little more time before I have to jump in the shower and get to bed. So let's look again. Doing a little comparison. Oh wow, those FETs are toast. This is the IRF P064Ns. So I'll have to get 4 of those. So let's do a baggie for this one. And we're going to go grab the 400 and do a comparison. Let's see how big a difference. I'll keep this handy close. But we're going to grab a card. Let's write this down. Let's do a little learning. I learn every time I work on this. So the outputs is a 36P15 and a 46, I believe it is. Let me just make sure. Yes, 46N15. And then the power supply are IRF P064N, and that is on the T600-4. Is that big enough for everybody to see? Yes, yes it is. All right. So let's do a comparison. We're going to look right now. We'll grab the amp. I have 2 of the power T400-4s that are dead. So we're going to start right up from the beginning again. I'm going to get my resistor. We're going to do this proper, but we're going to look at this no matter what, because I know these amps are dead and they got an issue. These are my personal amps, so I don't hardly ever get a chance to work on them. Seems like I always got a buddy that's got something that takes precedence. and I'm trying to get all my buddies' amps out of here so I can work on all my own stuff. But I want to order some of these parts and get some of these working because I like Rockford. So that one charged up. Let me discharge that again and make sure everybody can see that. Alright, so B plus, and it's charging, and bam. Okay, so this one that says the power supply is good. So if you were out in the world and nobody would you couldn't hear this hooked up and you were going to buy it, and you were going to hook it up in your own car, now you would feel a little bit safe that it's not going to immediately blow fuses, that at least the power supply should come on. If there's something else wrong in the amp, it should at least protect. So let's go ahead and pull this. I'm really interested to see what I do. Here we go. We're going to have this T600 here. We're giving away Rockford's current secrets. Of what is in their 4-channel amps. We're going to try to figure out a little bit of the difference, and I'll grab the other amp once we get this cover off and we've checked a few things. We'll kind of compare them. Obviously there's a little bit of a size difference, and there's going to be a transformer difference because the 600 does make more power, but there might not be much more than the transformer difference, and maybe some rail capacitance. Alright, so we can pull the cover off now, and we take the LED stack off. I gotta get a drink of water, hang on. I've got it right here beside me, but no drinks ever on the bench. I've got it over here sitting on an old speaker box. Alright, so like I said, we're still going to go around. Is that in the frame? Let's move this over a little, get this meter in, back into diode mode. So this one was not working. We're going to double check all the... Now see the beep went away? That means it's not a dead short, it's just charging up caps. As long as the beep goes away, it's okay. Alright, so now let's check the outputs. We're just going from the right leg to the center leg, and then from the outer legs I'd check those, and then I move the probe over to check it there, because you never know how, sometimes you can get ones that blow a little squirrely, but normally they blow source to drain, and the gate survives, or they blow across all. We may have found a winner. Oh yeah, and I can see, oh, somebody has repaired this amp before. That is not factory, my friends. That is not factory. Interesting. So I'm not sure if you can see down in there. Let's see what I can do here. All right. Focus. There. That is a set of factory solder connections on that set of FETs. You look here, and not only is there heat shrink tubing on each leg, you notice the big blobs of solder? That's this channel. Not only is it dead now, but has been repaired or attempted to repair once before. So what may have happened is they put new FETs in thinking that would fix it, and the drive circuit on this board has damage and it's blown them again, or they blew it again just the same way they originally did. Maybe it was correctly repaired. Do not know. I don't know the backstories on all these. Normally I just get told it either lights up in protect, which tells me it's probably got a good power supply but blown outputs. That may have been what this one was. Or it doesn't even power up, just blows fuses. And then I assume the power supply plus the outputs are dead. So we're going to go ahead and pull both these off because I don't trust that these may be correct. And then we're going to pull the power supply FET cover off, and we'll do a little comparison. Do I have okay, give me another card. Slide this out of the way. So we're going to go outputs, and then we're going to go power supply. So let's underline that and underline that. And this is for the T400-4. So let's look. Are these the BDCP series amps? No, Ken, they are not, because these are the multi-channels. The constant power ones are in their monoblock. And give me a half second here. So here is a monoblock T1000. This one's dead also, mine. And it says T1001 BD. If somebody hasn't tried to pull a fast one on you, and we have seen this in the Rockford groups, if the BD is red, it will mean it's a constant power one. All it is a newer revision of this amp where they have tweaked the power supply and stuff to make sure that it gets full power at, okay, so these amps are rated at 4 ohm, 2 ohm, and 1 ohm. And so this one was originally rated, don't quote me on these numbers, but let's say 400 watts at, or maybe let's say 300 watts at 4 ohm. And then it was rated at like 600 watts at 2 ohm. And then it was rated at 1,000 watts at 1 ohm, because it's a mono amp. The new CP series will be rated at like 300 watts at 4 ohm, 1,000 watts at 2 ohm, and 1,000 watts at 1 ohm. And that's what the new constant power gives you is depending on what your subwoofer hookup is now, whether you're wired 1 ohm or 2 ohm, the amp can now give you the full power in either of those configurations. And that's really similar, super duper similar. It's exactly what the Rockford the JL Audio Slash series used to do. So like if you had a 500/1, it gave you, no matter what ohm load you basically put into it, it gave you 500 watts plus RMS out to the speakers. And that was using their RIPS power supply. I really like the JL Slash series. I just sold my 500 here not too long ago, and it was perfect on the inside. It had never been repaired, so it did not have any board damage. When those get blown, you normally have to do some board repair on them because they blow the power supply pretty harsh. Okay, set that out of the way. So that's the difference. Now, there was a guy in one of the Rockford groups on Facebook that had changed out. He had an old amp, and George Sanchez of GNS Amp Repair was able to tell, because there was pictures of the GUTZ, he was able to tell that even though it had the red letters on it, somebody had put a power badge on it like it was a CP. He was able to tell from the board, he knew what to look for where the tweaks and changes were, that it was not actually a CP, it was original, and somebody had stuck a CP badge on it. Yeah, Ken, the multi-channels now, I don't know, they have a new design, that new compact design that I want to call is their smaller little line that's got all the controls over on one side. I don't know if those multi-channel and stuff are in their CP line, the constant power line, or not. I kind of focused on the ones I had. You know, I can't learn everything. So let's get back to this. The drum roll everybody's been waiting for. We only did one old school amp. Don't worry, I got tons old school. I got Punch 45s, 75s, 150s, the HD versions of them. I've got one of the 1001 BDs, one of the old waffle grill styles that I got to do. A whole bunch of stuff. We're going to get a lot of old Rockfords. And then I got PPI, a Soundstream, all old school. What else? An MTX, a whole bunch of other stuff. So anyway, let me get my specs down. And I really have been enjoying doing the live stream because I like interacting and like getting the questions. And it, you know, I just enjoy this as a hobby. And it just kind of makes it fun to have some interaction and stuff and having somebody else learn together. And you never know, if one of you fellers had pointed out that we didn't have the fuses in on the last amp, we would have that one done a whole lot quicker. You guys are supposed to catch me on that stuff. I'm the goober, remember. So we have 36P15 and 28 in 15s. Now, is that what we said that punch had? Yes. So this has a smaller end channel FET on here, so there's not going to do as much power. And then over here, what's our power supply? Like a little more of the shiny oil that's on there. Also may have to. These are the 75344Gs. Sorry for the bald head. So that is the. Hang on, I got the whole part number written down up here. Yeah, there it is. The HUF 75344G. All right. So let's make a little room here. So what do I know about this? Well, they're using the same size on the P, but they're using a smaller on the N, and the N is apparently going to be the one that they're using to determine the ratings for the output channel. So this one is 40 watts per channel. The other one would be 60 watts per channel. So there's the difference there. The difference between the 064Ns and the HUF 753044Gs is not much. The 064Ns are just a tiny bit tougher. Seems like these have a slightly higher wattage dissipation, and these have a higher current capability. So they're really close. And as a matter of fact, I know a lot of techs that if they don't have these, they can put these in and they never have a problem. But I carry both of them. I have a drawer that's for both of these, just because I'm anal retentive like that. I like to keep them both there. So that's very interesting. So this is the 400. So we're going to put that at its corner. And right here, we'll get it tied up as I can. See if I can get both those amps as well as I can in the shop. So I'm going to line up this edge, and we're going ahead and put these tags over here. So you can see amp is physically a little longer. Jason, I'll be using a 1500 BCD. I see, that's the other thing. So Rockford's obviously a smart designer of their amps. They reuse as many parts as they can. So they have all the same heat sink clips. They probably have all the same driver boards and stuff like that. This is the 1000 mono amp. It is same size physically as the 400-4. The 1500 that you're going to use is the same size physically. It's slightly bigger as the 600. So if you was trying to do symmetry in your trunk for display or something, if you have a 1500, a 600, a T600-4, perfect size so that they look identical sitting next to each other basically. They don't make a 4-channel crazy big with the big 2500 heatsink though that I know of. So anyway, so now we know what those are, so we can see some other differences. So as you go up into a bigger amp, so here we have 6 filter capacitors, here we have 8. Still have the same number of power supply FETs. We got 4, but notice in the 600 it's got a much larger power supply toroid inductor here for its transformer. Same set of rectifiers, same set of voltage regulators. Now, when it comes to caps, we have 2 big caps on the 400, and I'll hold it up here. We got 6 rail caps on the 600 here. These are skinnier and taller, and so these are, these are 3300 microfarad at 63 volt, and these are 4700 microfarad at 50 volts. So you got a little bit lower voltage from the windings here. Excuse me. From the power supply. So the caps are a little lower voltage. They are physically bigger themselves. They're a little higher voltage in here, and they've added 6 because they're lower microfarad. You add that all together and you get a little more farad. Same P transistor, but a bigger N transistor in the 600s. Let's see. We'll do couple last little things and then we're going to call it a night here. So I'm going to flip this paper over and we're going to write down this. This is a 1325-5367-01. That is the output board. You guys are responsible for making sure this matches up. Help me out here. 1325-5367-01. So they use all the same output boards. This is the output board. We'll look at the power supply board. Now, I am pretty sure the CP version and the non-CP actually use the same power supply board, because I've had to repair one for a shop, and I matched up the numbers on them because I happened to have a regular 1500 CP and or regular 1500 BD, and I had a 1500 CP, and they one of them had a bad power supply board, and I didn't have the parts to fix it, and so I took the other one had bad output section, so I stole its board to get the other one running, because the car stereo shop that had done the install is not a Rockford dealer. The guy had brought his Rockford amps in. They did not realize it had a problem, and the problem on the power supply is that when you turn the remote on and it powered up the amp, when the remote went away, the amp stayed on, and they'd got his install all done, sounded great, it was all rocking and stuff. He went off happy. The owner of the shop went on vacation for a week. Well, a few days down the road, with that amp being on constantly, it started dropping his battery down more and more because it was always on overnight and stuff, and finally he had to jump start his car. And so when he came back, they figured it out. He was like, oh man, can you get it? Well, I happen to have 2 1500s from him. One was a CP, one was not, and he needed that CP back. and so I was able to steal the board, and I had compared them there. So what that tells me, and man, George Sanchez from GNS Amp Repair could probably tell us, that probably means they've done some auxiliary things on the boards of the 1500, not on these two amps, but on the 1500, and that's why he was able to tell that one was not a genuine CP. I wish I had that amp back. I may have a picture of it, one picture. It'd be nice to compare them side by side again. So I'm gonna look up here, focusing on the 215 and the 2. What up, Damon? Hey, Strictly Amps. Good to see you, my man. 52-year-old kid building a new system. Yes, sir. What you got going? Just getting to work to get on. I'm using a 1500 CP, underrated amp. So I'm like that too. I'm going to kill a pair of Kicker Comp RT10s. Okay. So what we was going to look for is the power supply is a 1325, and so somewhere I've got a note of what the boards were on the 52767 the 1500s that I worked on. I had a regular and a CP, and so this is a 1325 52767-05. So that's the power supplies on these two power series. Remember, these are power. Now, if Rockford's smart, we already know they use the same power heat sinks between the 4 channels and some of the mono blocks. But here is this punch 500-2. We'll pull this back open. And what do we have for an output board? It is. So we're looking at this number right here. It is a 1325. Okay, that's the same. It's a 53617-01. So Rockford has designed their output drive boards. I want to make sure you guys. Oh, what was that? So you can see this is an auxiliary board that's standing up. So to help reduce cost for all their different amps that end up needing an output driver board, they have designed a universal output driver board to be able to use in their punch and their power series. So let's see what the power supply board says. So we got the power supply, and it is a 1325. I'm reading it off here. 52767-05. So they also use the same power supply board. Now we could do this to look at the crossover boards and everything also, but that's really good to know, because if you needed some of these and you weren't real good with all that, troubleshooting board level and stuff like that, but you knew you needed some replacement ones in your power series amp, you could buy a cheap, maybe blown power supply punch amp and be able to take the output driver boards, or vice versa if you needed the power supply board. So Rockford is being real smart. They're using the same driver boards repeatedly, and that begs to wonder later when this new CP line's all out and they've moved forward and some things are more available, I wonder if we'll be able to buy whole replacement boards from them once that's moved along. I'll bet places that are authorized, like Desert Audio Specialties, and I think Freeman might be authorized. I know GNS, I'm pretty sure, is authorized Rockford repair. But it would be real interesting. I could probably ask Sean, because I think he's authorized. But it'd be real interesting to wonder if you can just buy these boards so that you could swap them in instead of having to try to do board level repair. All right, so that's cool. We did for definitive thing. I'm gonna title this one comparing lots of different Rockfords, I guess. Somebody come up with a good title for this live stream, because I'm about to shut her down here because I've got to shower and go to bed. I got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had to work today too. It was my weekend. So okay, I'm gonna carefully put these all back up. Make sure this is all back in there. And I need to go back on those power amps and put my tape on them and write down what I know's bad with them so I can see about getting some parts. But there is the other information. Set that up there. So what I'll probably do tomorrow night, I'll be out late, and so there definitely won't be a live stream tomorrow night. It'll probably be more likely, maybe I might be able to get a couple hour one in Wednesday night. More likely probably Thursday or come into the weekend. 5 a.m. comes early. Have a great night, gentlemen. Yes, it does. So what I'm going to do probably tomorrow night when I've got about 30 minutes before I go to bed is I'll go back through these amps here that we just went through, and I'm going to write down on tape. I've got this 600, I got that 400, and I got another 400 in my cabinet that's dead. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to write that down so I can start putting together what I need to order power supply and output fit wise. That's the hardest part. I've got a lot of these small components, not all of them. But I'll do some investigating. And then I still got that 15 or that T1000. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'll save it for the next live stream. It'll be along with we'll do an old school one of some kind, and then we'll add that one. We'll crack it open and see if we can't figure out some stuff so I can start building me an order list for parts. I don't quite have the cash for it right now to get them all, but I'd like to know what I need and at least have it on my piece of tape so I can quickly reference it and get some parts ordered. And we'd like to get these things fired up because y'all either want to use them. Like I said, I was wanting to do a new school build for my wife, or trade them and swap them to get what I need for whatever we decide to do our build with. So I appreciate you guys coming on these live streams. You can like them, I know, and I know you can comment afterwards, and I really appreciate you guys coming and come with questions. And our Rockford Fosgate amps boards replaceable with each other. Oh, there you go. Very, very good. Yes. So by the way, and I'm can't remember Strictly's actual name right now, and he may not want me to say it on air, but because my brain's getting tired. I've been up since 5. I'd have to have my phone in my hand to know, because I've messaged with him. But he does do amp repair, I believe. I know as a hobby, and I think he does some stuff for some local stuff. So if you happen to be in his local, if he wants to put his local up there, and then you guys might message back and forth if he's taking anything in. I may have stuck my foot in my mouth and volunteered him a little bit, but I know he enjoys this like I do, and so he's a good guy, and I appreciate him coming and watching the streams, because hopefully if he'd have been here earlier, he would have maybe caught the fuses that we forgot to plug in, and that's why the stinking light did not come on. So oh well, I'm a goober, I know it, but I appreciate you guys. Like I said, and if you know any other guys, like I said, I got other brands, kickers, a whole bunch of other stuff. I'm going to keep doing the live stream. I really enjoy doing some of this stuff, and it's easier than me trying to video edit and do all that stuff, because it takes lots and lots of time, and that's what those pros do on those channels. And my channel's not pro. My channel's hobby and do it yourself, and you know, all us poor folk that have to figure it out and learn and swap and trade and do what we can to enjoy the systems that we like and enjoy the fun, nice things that we like. So I'm going to leave you with that, and thanks a bunch again. And Forsyth, Georgia. So it's down south. Get a little, if it's close enough to Louisiana, get some good gumbo or something like that. Now I'm hungry. I had a little bit of dinner earlier. I may have to have a little more before I hit the shower. It's hard to go to sleep on an empty stomach. So, all right, thanks again, guys. I'm babbling. I'm going to leave it there, and like I said, like, comment, and subscribe. Point some people to my channel, and get us a few more people on the live stream if you don't mind, just because I love the interaction. And I'll try to get these posted up way early in advance. I'm still trying to figure out how all the notifications work and all that stuff, but and then do it on the weekend where it's easier for people, not everybody. If you're already on the East Coast, you're probably saying, holy crap, I'm way past my bedtime. So if you got to get up and work tomorrow like the rest of the world. So alrighty, thanks again, guys. Have a good night.